The message that changed everything. The deep space communication array on Titan hummed with its usual background noise of cosmic radiation and stellar interference. Dr. Elena Vasquez had been monitoring the frequencies for over 12 years, searching for any sign of intelligent life beyond Earth. She had grown accustomed to disappointment, but tonight felt different. Tonight, something was calling out from the darkness between the stars. The signal came at 23:47 Greenwich Mean Time, a complex pattern of mathematical sequences followed by what sounded like voices. Elena's hands trembled as she isolated the transmission and began running it through the translation protocols. The language was unlike anything in Earth's databases, but the emotional undertones were unmistakable. Fear. Desperation. Hope. Elena worked through the night, her coffee growing cold as she pieced together fragments of meaning. By dawn, she had managed to decode enough to understand the basic message. An alien species was calling for help. Their world was dying, and they had nowhere else to turn. The beings called themselves the Zephyrians, and their homeworld was named Ethros. According to the transmission, they were a peaceful civilization of scholars and artists who had never known war. For 3,000 years, they had lived in harmony, studying the cosmos and creating beautiful works of art that celebrated life itself. But now, something called the Devourers had come to their system. Elena's breakthrough came when she realized the transmission wasn't just audio. It contained emotional resonance patterns that conveyed meaning beyond words. When she finally played back the complete message, tears streamed down her face. She could feel the sender's anguish, their love for their people, and their desperate hope that someone, somewhere, might hear their call. The message was from a Zephyrian scientist named Zarthek. His words, translated through Elena's protocols, were haunting in their simplicity. We are the Zephyrians of Ethros. We have watched the stars for centuries, wondering if others like us exist. Now, in our darkest hour, we reach out to you. The Devourers have come to our world. They consume everything they touch, and we have no weapons to stop them. We are artists, not warriors. We build, we create, we celebrate life. We do not know how to destroy. If anyone hears this message, please know that we existed. Please remember that we tried to bring beauty to the universe. If you have the power to help, we beg you to come. If not, we understand. We die hoping that somewhere among the stars there are others who value life as we do. Elena immediately contacted Commander Marcus Stone at Earth Defense Command. Stone was a veteran of the Mars conflicts, a man who had seen humanity's capacity for both destruction and heroism. When Elena played the message for him, his weathered face showed the same emotional impact she had felt. How do we know this isn't some kind of trap? Stone asked, though his voice lacked conviction. We've never encountered hostile aliens, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. Elena had expected this question. Commander, you felt it too, didn't you? The emotional resonance in their voices. That level of authentic desperation can't be faked. These beings are genuinely terrified and genuinely peaceful. They are reaching out to us because they have no other choice. Stone was quiet for a long moment, staring at the spectrographic analysis of the alien transmission. How far away are they? 43 light years. The Kepler 442 system. We call their star HD 40307, but they call it Ethrosol. Our fastest ships could reach them in 3 weeks if we push the hyperdrive to maximum. 3 weeks. Stone rubbed his chin thoughtfully. Elena, if we respond to this, we are talking about sending a significant portion of our fleet into unknown space to fight an enemy we know nothing about. We could be walking into a disaster. Or we could be saving an entire civilization. Elena's voice was steady, but her eyes blazed with conviction. Commander, this is what we've been preparing for. Not invasion, not conquest, but this. The moment. When we prove that humanity can be more than just another species fighting for survival. We can be the ones who answer when others cry for help. The debate that followed consumed the next 48 hours. Earth's leaders gathered in emergency session, representatives from every nation and colony weighing the unprecedented decision. Minister David Hayes, Earth's defense minister, found himself at the center of the storm. We are talking about sending 150 ships, argued Senator Martinez from the lunar colony. That's 60% of our total fleet. What if this is a diversion? What if there are other hostile forces waiting to attack Earth while our ships are gone? Captain Sarah Chen, Earth's youngest fleet commander at 34, stood to address the assembly. She had been chosen to lead the potential rescue mission, and her words carried weight despite her age. With respect, Senator, we've been monitoring space for decades. If there were hostile forces planning to attack Earth, we would have detected them by now. The Zephyrians' message shows they've been watching us too, probably for years. If they wanted to harm us, they had plenty of opportunities to do so when we were less advanced. But why should we risk our people for aliens we've never met? Asked General Morrison, head of the Colonial Defense Force. Chen's response was immediate and passionate. Because it's who we are. Humans have always been at their best when they help others. When disasters strike, we send aid. When people are in trouble, we rescue them. The fact that these people aren't human doesn't change our moral obligation to help if we can. Minister Hayes listened to the arguments for hours, but his decision was ultimately swayed by something simpler than politics or strategy. He thought about his own daughter, 7 years old, who loved to paint pictures of spaceships and alien worlds. What kind of universe did he want to leave for her? One where humans turned away from those in need, or one where they stood ready to help? We are going, Hayes announced to the assembly. Captain Chen, you have authorization to assemble the largest fleet in human history. We are going to save the Zephyrians. The next week was a whirlwind of preparation. Ships from across the solar system converged on Earth orbit. The massive battleship Endeavour served as the flagship, accompanied by cruisers, destroyers, and support vessels. Medical ships were loaded with supplies to help refugees. Transport ships prepared to carry evacuees to safety. Captain Chen stood on the bridge of the Endeavour, watching the fleet assemble. She felt the weight of command like never before. These weren't just ships and crew members under her command, they were humanity's representatives to the stars. Their actions would define how the universe saw the human race for generations to come. Commander Stone joined her on the bridge, his grizzled features softened by something that might have been pride. Second thoughts, Captain. Every minute. Chen admitted. But that doesn't mean we are making the wrong choice. Sometimes the right thing to do is also the scariest thing to do. The crew is ready, Stone reported. All ships report prepared for hyperspace jump. We can leave whenever you give the order. Chen took one last look at Earth, the blue marble that had given birth to their species. Somewhere out there, alien beings were dying while waiting for help that might never come. But it would come. Humanity had made that choice. All ships, this is Captain Chen, she broadcast to the fleet. Today we undertake humanity's greatest mission. We go not as conquerors, but as rescuers. We go not for ourselves, but for others. We go because when someone cries for help, humans answer. Fleet, jump to hyperspace. The stars stretched into lines of light as 150 human ships disappeared into the void, racing toward a distant world where strangers waited for salvation. The fleet of Hope. 3 weeks later, the human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system, and Captain Chen felt her heart break at what she saw. The Zephyrian homeworld of Ethros hung in space like a wounded jewel. Its once pristine surface marred by massive grey scars that spread across continents like a cancerous infection. My God, whispered Commander Stone from beside her. What are those things? The tactical display showed the source of the devastation. Enormous biomechanical entities, each the size of a city, moved across Ethros' surface like cosmic locusts. They seemed to be literally consuming the planet, leaving nothing but dead grey matter in their wake. These had to be the devourers the Zephyrians had spoken of. Captain, called Lieutenant Morrison from the communication station, we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface. It's from the Zephyrians. The voice that came through the speakers was weak but filled with desperate hope. It was Zarthek, the same scientist who had sent the original distress call. Unknown vessels, please identify yourselves. Are you here to help us? Chen stepped forward to respond, her voice steady despite the emotion in her throat. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Fleet. We received your message, Zarthek. We are here to help. The silence that followed lasted only seconds. But it felt like hours. Then Zarthek's voice returned, choked with emotion. You came. You actually came. We never dared to hope. Thank you. Thank you for proving we are not alone. What's your situation down there? Chen asked, already knowing the answer would be grim. The Devourers arrived 6 months ago. They consume everything organic and convert it to expand their own biomass. We estimate they've consumed 40% of our world's surface. Our population was 12 billion. Now we are fewer than 2 million, scattered in underground shelters that won't hold much longer. Chen looked at the tactical display showing the scale of the Devourer infestation. Each creature was massive, protected by thick bioarmor and surrounded by smaller drone-like entities. The human fleet was impressive by Earth standards, but facing enemies of this size seemed almost hopeless. Admiral Rodriguez, she called to her chief strategist, analysis. Admiral Tom Rodriguez, a brilliant tactical mind who had served with Chen since the academy, studied the sensor data with a frown. The Devourers appear to be a hive mind species. They move in coordinated patterns, but that coordination could be their weakness. Hive minds are efficient but predictable. They struggle to adapt to unexpected tactics. What about their defenses? Bioarmor is tough but not impenetrable. Our plasma torpedoes should be able to punch through, but we'll need to get close. The real problem is their numbers. Each large Devourer has thousands of smaller drones. We'll be fighting a multi-layered battle. Chen nodded, her mind already working through possibilities. Zarthek, how many of your people can we evacuate? All of them, if given time. We have transport ships hidden in underground hangars, but they are not armed. The Devourers will destroy them the moment they launch. Then we'll give you that time. Chen turned to address her fleet. All ships, this is your captain. We came here to save lives, and that's exactly what we are going to do. Our mission is to provide cover for Zephyr evacuation ships while eliminating the Devourer threat. This won't be easy, but remember why we're here. When the history books tell this story, they'll say that humanity's first contact with alien life was an act of compassion. The battle began at dawn on Ethros. The human fleet descended into the planet's atmosphere in attack formation, their weapons systems charging as they approached the nearest cluster of Devourers. Chen watched the tactical display as her ships engaged the alien entities. The first exchange of fire was devastating on both sides. Human plasma torpedoes tore through Devourer bioarmor, but the aliens' acidic projectiles dissolved hull plating in seconds. 3 human destroyers were lost in the first 10 minutes, their crews sacrificing themselves to clear a path for the evacuation ships. Zephyr transports are launching, reported Lieutenant Morrison. First wave of evacuees is airborne. Chen watched as graceful alien vessels rose from hidden launch bays, their hulls gleaming like liquid metal. They were beautiful ships, clearly designed by beings who valued aesthetics as much as function. But they were also completely defenseless, relying entirely on the human fleet for protection. The Devourers immediately shifted their attention to the evacuation ships, sending swarms of drone creatures to intercept them. This was the moment Chen had been preparing for. All fighters, intercept those drones. Don't let a single one through. Lieutenant Jake Morrison, flying lead in a squadron of human fighters, dove into the swarm of Devourer drones. His wingman was Lieutenant Sarah Park, a pilot known for her precision and courage. Together, they carved through the alien formation, their energy weapons cutting down dozens of the biomechanical creatures. There's too many of them, Park called over the comm. We need support. Support is coming, Morrison replied, even as his fighter took hits from drone weapons. Just keep flying. The battle raged for hours. Human ships fought with desperate courage, knowing that every minute they held the line meant more Zephyr lives saved. The evacuation proceeded in waves, transport ships carrying thousands of refugees to safety while the human fleet paid the price in blood. Captain Chen found herself in direct combat with one of the largest Devourers, a creature so massive it had its own gravitational field. The Endeavor's weapons barely scratched its bioarmor, but Chen had noticed something during the battle. The Devourers, for all their coordination, couldn't adapt to human unpredictability. All ships, target the neural nodes, Chen ordered, having identified the small, vulnerable spots where the creatures controlled their drone swarms. If we can disrupt their hive-mind connection, they'll lose coordination. The strategy worked. As human ships targeted the neural nodes, the Devourer formation began to break down. The smaller drones, cut off from their controlling intelligence, began attacking each other as much as the human ships, but victory came at a cost. Lieutenant Morrison's fighter was caught in a drone explosion, his ship spinning out of control toward the planet's surface. "This is Morrison," he called over the comm, his voice calm despite his situation. "I'm not going to make it back. Tell my family I was proud to serve." "Jake, punch out," Chen ordered. "Use your ejection system." "Negative, Captain." "I'm coming. Down right on top of a Zephyr shelter. If I eject now, my fighter will crash into it. There are thousands of civilians down there." Chen watched helplessly as Morrison's fighter, trailing smoke and fire, adjusted course to crash into an empty field instead of the sheltered civilians. The explosion lit up the sky, and another human hero was gone. The final phase of the battle came when Admiral Rodriguez identified the Devourer Queen, the central intelligence controlling the entire invasion. It was a creature of unimaginable size, hidden beneath the planet's surface but connected to every other Devourer through bioneural networks. "If we can take out the Queen, the whole invasion collapses," Rodriguez reported. "But it's buried under 3 miles of rock and protected by the largest concentration of Devourers on the planet." Chen didn't hesitate. "Then we go through them." The human fleet's final assault was a desperate gamble. Every remaining ship dove toward the planet's surface, concentrating their fire on the area above the Devourer Queen. The aliens fought back. With everything they had, but human determination and sacrifice finally broke through. The moment the Devourer Queen died, the change was immediate and dramatic. Across the planet, the massive biomechanical entities simply stopped moving. The smaller drones fell from the sky like dead insects. The invasion was over. In the aftermath, as rescue ships tended to the wounded and collected the survivors, Captain Chen stood on the bridge of the damaged Endeavour and watched the last Zephyr transport ships depart for their new home. The aliens had chosen a world in a nearby system, far from the devastation of Ethros. Zarthek's final transmission to the human fleet was simple but profound. "Captain Chen, your species has given us the greatest gift possible, a future. We will never forget what you have done. In our new world, we will build monuments to human courage and compassion. We offer you our friendship, our knowledge, and our eternal gratitude." The human fleet limped home, having lost 37 ships and over 2,000 crew members. But they had saved 2 million alien lives and forged humanity's first interstellar alliance. More importantly, they had proven that when faced with the choice between safety and compassion, humans would choose compassion every time. As Earth came into view, Captain Chen reflected on what they had accomplished. They had gone to space as humanity's representatives and returned as something more, proof that intelligence and compassion could triumph over mindless consumption. The universe was vast and often dangerous, but it was also filled with beings worth protecting. The Zephyrians would remember humanity's sacrifice. More importantly, humanity would remember what they were capable of when they chose to be their best selves. The stars no longer seemed cold and empty. They were filled with possibilities, with friends yet to be made, and with the promise that whenever someone cried for help, the human fleet would answer.